You've been singed. Happens to everybody. I've been burned so many times by the Buffalo Bills. I don't even like going into the kitchen. I don't like getting near the oven. I've been burned so many times. And they'll probably lose in mid-January to Kansas City again in the AFC Championship. It'll be like 27-24. Josh Allen will make a big mistake. He'll play well. He's Superman. He'll put on a cape and jump over linebackers with a single bound. And then Mahomes will rip your heart out. He'll have the ball last. Yeah, that'll probably happen again. I mean, what's going to change, right? Same quarterback, same coach. Clearly, Kansas City is in everybody's head in the AFC and perhaps the NFC. But this time it feels a little different. I'm willing to fall in love and get burned again. First of all, Joe Brady and Josh Allen, they're 9-1 together. No more Stephon Diggs drama. And they feel more balanced. I get all the Josh Allen horsepower, but with more efficiency, more balance, and without all the silly mistakes. I don't know. Maybe it'll be just, like what I've seen. But it does feel more balanced. It does feel more. It feels more like a complete team. And that's what Kansas City is now. They're actually defensive led. It's not Travis Kelce and Mahomes. This kind of feels like I get the horsepower, but without the mistakes. And that feels like the outcome would be different. And maybe it's just because the AFC doesn't feel quite as powerful. The Bengals defense is just not good enough to end up in a conference championship. Chargers feel like they're probably a year away. They'll be good, but a year away. I mean, the Ravens just don't feel right. Losing at home to the Raiders. The Texans are remarkable, but they have a young quarterback and they're a young team. Buffalo's not, and Kansas City's not. And it feels like they've separated from the AFC. I'm going to put myself out there one more time. I'm willing to fall in love again. I think it's different. I'm sure almost it's absolutely different. And I looked at the schedule this morning, and I'm willing to make the commitment before the next 3 games. At Baltimore, at Houston, at the Jets. Maybe in 3 weeks I'll look up and go, okay, yeah, it was a lot of home games. J-Max point. I mean, come on, give me a break. Those guys barely care about football. But I don't know. I'm watching it, and I get all the torque. Without the turnovers, it feels different. I like them. I'm willing to have my heart ripped out in January because I'd like to see them win. I watched the Jim Kelly teams, and they were great. But there was the Cowboys, and this team is great. It feels great, but there's the Chiefs. But Sean McDermott says it's different, too.
When I saw us working together, all 3 phases, supporting one another at times, and that was good to see. We're going to need more of that moving forward. And Josh, I think he hit 10 different receivers.
Crazy.
And I mean, his influence is felt not only through his play, but just the way he's leading our football team.
Okay. Then there was.
All right. So that's done. He's now moves on to talk about the Bengals. Okay. Josh Allen is a better quarterback than Patrick Mahomes, and he has been for the last 2 years, and it's not even close. You guys know that I do not live and die by the stats. You guys know that. But sometimes stats are able to paint an easier picture, and especially when they're so drastically different. In 23, Josh Allen to PFF, Josh Allen was the number 1 quarterback. Patrick Mahomes was the 10th best quarterback. In 2024 right now, Josh Allen is the 4th best quarterback. Mahomes is the 15th best quarterback. And Mahomes is now top 4 in turnover-worthy possession plays, which is one of my favorite stats that cannot really be faked, quite frankly. So, yeah, I'm really getting tired of the lack of the Josh Allen respect at this point, honestly. Because Josh Allen has consistently been asked to do more with less over the years and be responsible for more offensive production. He makes up more passing yards, more attempts more rushing attempts and more rushing yards, a greater percentage for his team than anyone else, especially Patrick Mahomes. He's asked to do more. It's not up for debate. Go crunch the numbers. Go look it up for yourself. It's not up for debate. And this isn't a knock on Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game of football. No ifs, ands, or buts. No question about it. But like Colin said, and he said it actually in his Cincinnati Bengals take, unfortunately he doesn't say it here, he talks about how it's been the Chiefs organization. It hasn't all come down to Patrick Mahomes of winning those rings, right? Look, Patrick Mahomes is now playing awful this year right now. He is. Career lows in everything. He's just playing bad football right now, and he knows it. He's said it. So, Kansas City Chiefs fans, go complain somewhere else. Patrick Mahomes is saying it himself. He knows it. He's not playing good football, yet they're still winning. That's the Kansas City Chiefs. That's the organization. That's the GM. That's the draft. That's free agency. That's Andy Reid, Spags. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes as well. But that's the whole complete picture. So I'm sick of the narrative that Patrick Mahomes wins all these Super Bowls because he's Patrick Mahomes, and Josh Allen doesn't because he's just not good enough. And he's Josh Allen. And not only do you physically see that with your eyes, that that's just not accurate, but also you see that with the stats. The stats back it up as well. And now you're talking about like years. And a lot of times stats can be misleading more than anything, mainly because you can look at it where they're feasting on bad teams, or they have an amazing team with an amazing coach, and you're comparing it to another player who doesn't have amazing teams, or who's not on an amazing team, or doesn't have an amazing coach, and that's why stats can be misleading, right? If you look at the stats right now, it'll show that Baker Mayfield's a better quarterback than Patrick Mahomes. And we know that Patrick Mahomes is a better quarterback than Baker Mayfield, right? So that's why stats you always need to give context to it. And that's why you have to dig in deep, and you have to say, well, what are they asking Josh Allen to do game after game after game? And now finally it's starting to be, the burden is a little bit less on him. And that's really exciting. And Josh Allen potentially has some stability from an offensive coaching standpoint, not a revolving door that he's had. That's why Josh Allen's stats are even misleading, because he has been in an unstable situation compared to other quarterbacks. Compared to, heck, Brock Purdy. Not even just Patrick Mahomes. And like all of these things matter. All of this context matters. And we love to just give Super Bowl rings, or, all the accolades to just the quarterback and not the team. And basketball for a long time used to do that. Not anymore. The NBA has grown up in terms of the conversations. Yeah, occasionally people still say 6 rings to 4 or whatever. Of course, because that's just easy to type in the comment section and stuff. But real people having real conversations, people acknowledge MJ having, right, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, Steve Kerr, right? They acknowledge that. And they talk about LeBron having, Dwayne Wade, Bosh, Kyrie, Anthony Davis. Those are conversations. They understand it now. We can still talk about these players being great. We can still talk about these players being the GOATs and being the best to ever do it. But it's still, now they added more context to it. Steph Curry winning with, obviously, Kevin Durant. Him winning without Kevin Durant, but still having Klay Thompson, right? Like, it's all context now. We don't do that in football. Tom Brady won all those rings. He didn't have any help. He didn't have any defense. And it's funny because the only people that want to add context to that are the Kansas City Chiefs fans by saying, he didn't really do much in those first few Super Bowls. That was Bill Belichick. That was defense. And yet that same context that they want to give to Tom Brady, they don't want to offer to Patrick Mahomes. And how much of a gift it's been for him to be with the Kansas City Chiefs. His numbers have gone down ever since Tyreek Hill has left. Yes, he's won a Super Bowl. Absolutely. 2 Super Bowls. He still is a great player without Tyreek Hill. But Last year, that Super Bowl was defensively led. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Now you're seeing what it's like for the Chiefs to just have kind of an average offensive weapons. And what does Patrick Mahomes look like? He does not look elite. He does not look like the top in the NFL. He just doesn't. The Chiefs as a whole could still be the top team in the NFL because that's where the genius of Spags and Andy Reid, and again, like I already said, just the roster itself as constructed. But Patrick Mahomes looks completely average, and the stats bear it down. And now we have Josh Allen continuing to ascend, continuing to be dominant. And yet we can't have that honest conversation about it, that maybe if Josh Allen was given a different situation, would things be different? If Stephon Diggs could actually find his hands in the playoffs, would they have won a Super Bowl? If McDermott actually had a legitimate game plan going when they played the Bengals in the playoffs, could they have won a Super Bowl? People blame Josh Allen for that play, for that game in the snowstorm. Like he had anything to do with the game plan. Like it's his fault that they can't get the OC right. Like it's his fault that the defense has been decimated in the playoffs. It's his fault that he throws a perfect strike and it hits multiple receivers in the hands on multiple downs. And they drop it. No. Josh Allen is the best quarterback in the NFL right now. And honestly, it's not even particularly close. It's really not. Considering what he's asked to do for his team week in and week out for years now, and the level of coaching that he's had relative to someone who's had the GOAT and Andy Reid, or these other offensive coach geniuses, the McVays, the Shanahans, the Kevin O'Connells, the Matt LaFleurs. Like, I'm sorry, Buffalo Bill fans, I'm probably both making you happy and angry at the same time, but they have not supported Josh Allen from an offensive coach perspective more than some of these other quarterbacks out there, like the McVays, Shanahans, Andy Reids specifically. That's just a reality. And what's frustrating is as Colin is saying, you know, about being the heartbreak and the Bills and all of this. And I already know Nick Wright's going to be like, everyone's crowning them the champions. This is what they do. They're the regular season September champions or whatever. Yada, yada, yada. And he's still going to put Mahomes at the top of Mahomes Mountain, even though he doesn't deserve to be this season. The reality is that I don't want to have to ask the question, what if? What if the Bills supported Josh Allen more? What if the Bills were more aggressive over the years of making some bigger moves? What if they went out and got a better offensive-minded coach? I really, really hope the Bills can pull it off this season. I really do. I'm not saying they will or they won't. I have no idea. Zero idea. Because that is the problem going up against the Chiefs in the playoffs. You're never going to outcoach Andy Reid. You're just not. You're never going to really be able to take advantage of the Chiefs' mistakes come time playoffs because they make so few. And they know how to capitalize on your mistakes, which is how they beat the Bills last year. You didn't outcoach Andy Reid. You didn't outcoach Spags. And the Bills made some mistakes. The Chiefs didn't. Chiefs capitalized. It doesn't get any more complicated than that. It really doesn't. Very straightforward. So that's where things are going to be interesting as this season unfolds. Can they stay healthy? Can they stay balanced? Can they continue to play smart football? Because right now, they look like kind of the only juggernaut, but it does have to be put in context, considering who they played. The Jags, I don't think they're anything this year. I mean, I had big question marks going into this season about the Jags, quite frankly, so I don't think they're that. The Cardinals, I think, are a pretty good team, quite frankly. And then, wait, let me see. Did they have a schedule set up? Right, he had a schedule. Right, and the Dolphins. The Dolphins aren't exactly known to having a great defense, and then, right, obviously Tua went down. It's going to be interesting to see them go up against the Ravens. The Texans kind of need to regain some momentum. The Jets, yeah, that's going to be an interesting game too. Like I'm trying to find some like more key games. Obviously, Week 11 versus KC will be really fascinating. But I mean, they could rip off. They could beat the Ravens. They could beat the Texans. They could beat the Jets, the Titans, the Seahawks, the Dolphins, the Colts, Kansas City, 49ers, Rams. I mean, like you could see them going undefeated. I can see why Nick Wright thought that the Chiefs were going to go undefeated that year. Honestly, because I could look at this and you can make. I mean, are they favored in every single game? They should be. I don't think they're going to go undefeated. Let's be very clear, because people lose games all the time. Just the way football works, just the way sports works. But you could see them like. There's not a single game where you're like, that's going to be a tough matchup. I don't know. It'll come down to the final minute. Blah blah blah. Like they should be able to beat the Ravens. Pretty good. They should. The Texans. They should. The Jets. The Titans. The Seahawks. The Dolphins. I mean, I'm not seeing any games where I'm like, I don't know. The only game against the Patriots because it's Week 18. Bills locked up the bye, and everyone's sitting and chilling. They're all wearing, sweatpants and their big heavy jackets and no pads. Heck, they might have that locked up by Week 17. They might not be playing Week 17 and Week 18. Maybe they treat it like preseason games. My God. So, yeah. It's deserving to be really high against the Bills, but it still also needs to be added with context because they're playing great. They're putting up points 34, 31, 47. And I think when we see them go up against the Ravens and the Texans, that'll be a good barometer. Week 11 versus the Chiefs, I don't know if it will be. Mainly because I don't think the Bills care as much about beating the Bills. I don't think the Bills care as much about beating the Chiefs Week 11. I know they want to beat them. I know Josh Allen does, right? The team as a whole does. But they're thinking playoffs. That's going to be a game where they're not going to reveal all their cards to the Chiefs in Week 11. They're just not. They're not going to do it. This isn't going to be like Week 1, Lamar Jackson versus the Kansas City Chiefs. The Bills have bigger aspirations this year. They have Super Bowl aspirations. So that game's going to be pretty interesting to see how both teams kind of approach it and how they attack it. Because I think both teams will hold a lot of who they are to the vest and how they would play each other. So I wonder how much we could honestly really learn from that game, quite frankly. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills this year? Are you buying what Colin is selling about this is the year they finally do it? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.